Welcome to TCM Talk Therapy. Hi, I'm Jen and I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine specializing in facial acupuncture, and I'm a face reader. I grew up in the West and practice in Eastern therapy.
Hi, I'm Grace and I'm a marriage and family therapist. I grew up in the East and practice a Western therapy.
Together we engage in organic conversations that bridge the topics we want to dive deeper in.
Let's get curious in finding compassion for ourselves, our bodies, and each other.
Happy spring. Happy spring. I'm checking my mic. It's green.
Checking
We're
my
good.
mic too.
It's happened way too many times.
Oh man, so many times where that just didn't happen. The amount of things that could possibly go wrong when filming a podcast is insane.
And
we
have done it all, but I feel like there's more. There's more that we haven't unlocked yet.
I know, with my luck, with my
with my
just
your
technical
luck
skills and technology, it's like we're bound to discover more.
You'll be okay.
Anyway.
We'll be okay. Because we have to be.
We will be okay. We just gotta be able to find pause and not rush through, because that is the theme of the season. So today's episode is really about the transition of winter into spring energy and why this is so important. Because winter energy, if you remember from our first episode, is more so about like conserving, promoting more stillness, really thinking and planning, and kind of like fine-tuning things that you already let go of, and prepping and planning and hibernating to come out when this burst of new spring energy comes. And let me tell you, people, spring energy came very early this year because you could see it outside, you could feel it in the air, everyone's bodies are spazzing out. And I think that's the appropriate terminology to like spazzing out.
Yeah, it feels like out of control.
Very out of control, very extreme, very intense in a spasmodic way. There's a lot that happens within dysregulation because of the imbalance that comes with the nature of the season. So we went from a very yin time, right? Very still, very nourishing, about conservation, about reflection. That's winter, peak winter, right? And then it ramps up into now that transition into yang energy of now spring and summer, which is going to be about like action, momentum, drive, just warmth and like activity and spontaneity almost. The spontaneity is more like in the summer. But this is the season where it's like you thought about your goals all winter long, you got antsy enough to do it, and now it's about taking action. So anytime you take action when you're not fully prepared, what happens? Mistakes can occur.
Yep.
Big things like putting out fires. There's so much that can occur. So if you're approaching the season from a place of burnout, this episode is for you. If you're approaching this season from a very balanced state, this also is for you, because everything right now is going to be about balance. So Grace, with that, I want to know what you've been seeing in clinic, because with this time being so dysregulating with the state of the world, with kind of like everything going on, with the way that, family dynamics can really impact how you approach winter and how that transitions into spring. I want to know what you've been seeing a lot of.
Yep. So, I think about the past few months, I think of how, everyone was in a more introspective state, which is amazing, which is in line with the season. But then we also have to do all the holiday stuff, which, as you recall in episode 1, is just like, it's so incongruent. It's so not true to nature. So with that, I think I've noticed like this phase in the past like few weeks that like people are like, I want to change, I want to do things, I want to go forward, which is again in line with the season. But because winter wasn't that restful, so I feel like this is just like a place of like urgency and like a lack of reflection. It's just more like my body wants to change something, but I don't know why. So I also noticed with that, like a lot of folks are in this space of like a lot of head knowledge. Like, I know I should change. I know I should do things. I know I should like achieve my New Year's resolutions, but then they don't connect to like how they actually feel, like what their body is actually telling them. They're either acting out of pure instinct or like, just like, oh, that's what people tell me I should do, so I should do it. And then to add this like extra layer of like what we're talking about with the season, In LA, it's been hot, and then it's freaking cold in the East Coast. So I think
I know,
spring
talk
this year
about
is
polar extremes, right? Yeah.
exactly like this year's as Jen said, like this year's spring came so fast out of nowhere, and then the weather wasn't like lining up with how the season should be. Climate change is real, and also that's also dysregulating, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it feels weird when you go into spring when it feels like summer or if it feels like winter.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
feels very off.
the summer trees are blooming now
Yeah,
again. And it's
yeah.
really yeah, it is and that transition can be really jarring for a lot of folks who just aren't aware that like, like aren't aware that their environment really affects them. Like suddenly you see summer trees, you
Mhm.
see summer flowers, but you're like, "Wait, I just got out of winter 2 days ago."
Mhm.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the dualities that happen with that. Like, there's one part of you that wants to be like, "Okay, now I have to take action. I need to go get everything done. Like, I feel like I'm behind." And then there's another part of you was just like, "But I didn't get to but
I didn't get to
but
rest.
I didn't get my snow yet," or something like that, you know?
Yeah, or like I was supposed to hibernate for another like 3 weeks,
Yeah, I'm
which is
not
not wrong.
ready.
I'm
There's a
not
lot of,
ready.
like, "I'm ready to be done," and then there's a lot of, like, "I'm not ready," and you see that strong, strong, like, extreme and then intensity of those like, those dual poles into that, like,
Yes.
yin side and yang side of, like, what feels incomplete, and so, I actually really have been noticing a lot of people coming in for to my surprise, honestly, nervous system regulation.
I
This is
know,
actually a
I know.
first where, like, people are actively seeking nervous system regulation, like, they know. Like, I think that if there's anything that happened last year, is that people became very aware of themselves. I think no
Yeah.
matter where you were, like, there's a level of awareness that was brought out of last year, Yin-Wood
Mhm.
snake year, right? A lot of reflection, a lot of, like, shedding, whatever. Theme everyone's into it right now. I've been into it, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Um
Jen I've been there from the beginning.
I was there a long time ago. No, I'm just kidding. So the important thing though is to reflect, right? Like everything we do is
Mhm.
always a state of reflection. We are women, we are yin in nature. Our work is yin in nature.
Mhm.
So then it's all about that reflection of like what does it mean? So what it means is that because there was so much reflection, people are coming in, they're aware of what puts them off, whether it's like some drama going on at work
Mhm.
or like the weather affecting their immunity, they know there's something to be regulated. And
Yep.
really, the spring is all about this concept of dysregulation in the way that it pulls between two extremes. So, this is when we could think of it as like if you're going into spring in an ideal method, right? It's like
Mm.
you got the proper
Mhm.
amount of rest, the proper amount of reflection, proper amount of like restoration from the winter. So now when you go into spring, it's like, okay, now I don't have to eat all my nourishing stews and soups. I can start eating things that are in bloom and like starting to sprout and things that are like rich in antioxidants and rich in like vitamins and minerals because there's life again, right? Like we're
Mhm.
taking advantage of the new life that's coming in with food. And then when it comes to things where it's like the physical body symptoms, like you'll notice like more energy. But is this
Mhm.
energy good energy or is this energy an imbalanced energy?
Yeah, is it like anxiety, basically?
Exactly. Like it oftentimes can appear in either the form of anxiety or depression, depending on how you kind of like
Mm.
went through winter. So if you went through winter like blasting through and you're like doing the most and being the most and like saying yes to everything you didn't want to say yes to and it wasn't fulfilling, it can often lead to either depression or anxiety. Depending on what element type you are, usually that plays a huge factor in it like, usually the more yang type of elements, like, um, usually the ones that will go into more of, like, that anxiety state are, like, imbalanced water, imbalanced fire, imbalanced wood, and the ones that tend to be more depressed are, like, the imbalanced earth and imbalanced metal. Those are the ones that tend to be or, like, some water types. Yeah, so, like, usually it cuts off, like, when you're between water. So that yin and yang aspect.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are the type of people where it's just like they did so much and now they've given so much they're completely depleted. or they've done
Mm.
so much that they're like ramped up and wired. So it's like wired but tired type of
Yeah.
symptoms that tend to come out during this time. And I'm sure you see that a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why when you talked about the duality of parts, I was like, I love that you're using IFS language too, Jen. Like, it's like, oh, there's one part of you that really wants to go forth and do things and be brave and be
Well, you're not
excited.
the only one learning here.
Yeah, but also
IFS
taking,
being internal family systems, by the way, for people who don't know.
wow, look at her. Yeah, and the
Love
other,
it.
I love that. And also, yeah, taking inventory of the part of you that like doesn't feel ready, doesn't feel motivated, and honoring both sides of you. I think that's the hardest part for anyone. It's we end up saying like, oh, one side is worse than the other. Like, oh, I wish I wasn't so anxious. Oh, I wish wasn't so depressed. It's just more like, yeah, I have a part of me that is anxious, part of me that's depressed, and they both want the best for me. They both want one wants me to go do things, and one wants me to rest a bit more. And it's learning how to take turns between the two.
Yeah, and this is the season where you will really feel that the most. It's like if you didn't get enough rest in the winter, like your body will really crave it. And when you
Mm-hmm.
don't get it, your body's going to react in a way where it will literally put you to rest.
Yes.
This is actually a time of year where a lot of flare-ups happen. So, and it's very extreme. It comes on just as quickly as it might disappear. So this is when the concept of wind comes about. So spring is associated with the concept of wind. Wind is one of the pathogenic factors that really just means that like anything that comes on suddenly. So this can be like cold and flu. So your immunity might be shot from not having enough nourishment in the winter, right? Putting your immune state in a lower state. So now you're more susceptible and more vulnerable to the things around you. So it's a lot easier to get sick. And usually when you get sick, it's like really intense because you were so depleted that this pathogen can shake you up so much that your immune system just flares. So
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune conditions are also usually flaring up during this time. Things like kind of like chronic symptoms that were like fine, but still have a tendency to come and go, like eczema or psoriasis. A lot of dermatological conditions tend to flare up around this time. Other things such as like menstrual irregularities, like if you have PCOS, for example, right? There's already an imbalance in terms of like the regulation of your hormones. And if there's more of an intensity or more of like a depletion or of intensity in terms of like doing too much, then during this time of the year, you might find very strong, painful periods, very heavy, or like you're losing your period completely. So this is a very common thing. Other things that could occur are things like anything that involves like a sudden onset internally. So this can be like a twitch in your eye that came out of nowhere, like a spasm in your neck or your back that feels like it came out of nowhere. Like you could sneeze and you could throw out your back. Like that's how depleted you were. That even a
Mm-hmm.
sneeze can throw your body off. That's how
And it's not just
vulnerable your
age.
body becomes. It's not just age. If it was just age, like honestly, nobody should really develop symptoms until they are in their 50s.
Hmm,
That's the
that's
state
actually
of
really hopeful.
vulnerability. Yeah. But, you know, there's actually a face reading technique that you could use to gauge if you are pushing yourself past your limit a little too much to the point where it literally, like, takes years away from your life and like, prematurely ages
Ooh.
you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a wrinkle that will develop on your chin right here. Your chin is called your
Oh.
Jing bucket. Your Jing is your essence. It's kind of like the genetic makeup of you. It's like the aging process. So like if you think about aging in the form of like when you are born into this world, you have this like 100 eggs. And as you go through fertility, like fertility years, then you lose this many eggs. And
Mm-hmm.
then by the time you are 40, you only have this many eggs. But by that time you're 50, you should be in menopause. So that's women, for example, right? For men, it's a little different. Men have a little longer stretches, but yet they tend to push themselves the most physically
Mm-hmm.
demanding. Like it's very like they put themselves through a lot in different ways compared to women, which is why women tend to outlive men. um, yeah, there's a little more pause in a woman's life compared to a man's life, and that's just kind of like human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But it doesn't mean that it has to be a certain way. Like, women can be
Yep.
very young in nature, men can be very yin in
Yes.
nature. So it depends on kind
Exactly.
of like the ebbs and flows, but around 50 is usually the time where, like, if you didn't learn to become more yin, more conservative, more still, in nature, more reflective, like let things go a little more. Like it really does do something to your body. So if you're pushing yourself to that point, you'll notice a wrinkle happen on your chin here.
That's so cool. I've never noticed that
Yeah.
wrinkle in other
There
people, but now I will look for that.
you'll notice there's a lot of people who have it. What's really scary is when young children have that.
Oh,
'Cause they're
no.
pushing their bodies way too hard. If you
Yeah.
ever see a child with, like, a wrinkle stretching
Yeah.
across their chin here, and they don't have anything where it's like, a pronounced chin that would
Yes.
create that, like,
Mhm.
if you just see a wrinkle here, you're like, "Wow, that kid is being pushed past their limit." In adults, it's kind of expected, right? Especially through seasons of life, like, in your 30s or your 20s, you wanna, like, do the most you can while you
Yes.
have the energy and, like, be as successful as you can to, like, get everything you want, all your hopes and dreams, your goals, whatever. Like, that's a season of life. But seasons of life are only seasons too, right? Just like nature, these
Exactly.
seasons. This season of life is about like just trying to regulate or find that balance between the two extremes. Because when it doesn't, you could also have things like blood pressure issues and
Mhm.
thyroid storms and feeling like mood swings, like anything where you could imagine there could be an alternating like swing between one and another, like constipation versus loose stool, or like insomnia versus like tired all the time, that's
Mhm.
tired but wired. So there's so many dualities that can happen within our bodies. If you just pay attention to it, like I'm breathing a lot, I'm hyperventilating, or I'm holding my breath. There's that duality there too. So just get a little creative with it and think about it. But you could think of it as like this is the time of year where that balance becomes very important. The more you can regulate in a way where you can balance out the yin and yang nature of it, the more you can approach through this season from a place of peace, from a place of harmony, from a place of like wisdom, because winter is also about gathering wisdom.
And I think what you said, Jen, like regulation is key. I want to just like stay on that just for a little bit because I want to just like start by naming a myth of like what regulation is. A lot of people think like, oh, regulation means being all zen, being all like going to
Mm,
yoga every day, being slow, being yin. Yes and no. So yes, that is a part of it, being able to access the yin. When clients tell me like, oh, I can't do meditation, I can't do yoga. Granted, I also cannot do meditation. I get it. But if someone put me through a guided meditation, I'm able to come down and be safe in my body. There's a
yeah, we're
difference,
actually
right?
very different in that way. You're
Uh
very good at moving your body. I'm
huh.
very bad at moving my body. You're really good at like like when you're upset, like you'll do more. But
Yes.
you can't stay still. I'm very good at staying still. If you put me on a couch, I could stay there all day. No problem. You want me to think in my head all day? I could do that. No problem. But you want me to go move my body and exercise? I am the worst at that.
No, I love doing more. So that's why I'm like it's so yeah, regulation people think like, oh, it means in staying in one state. No, it's actually about the ability to move between the states and being
Yes.
open to either or and knowing when you need to use what. Like when you
Mhm.
need to use your dysregulation and when you need to actually be calm and collected and like quote unquote zen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is rooted in like that pause effect, right? And I know that's something that you do a lot is like having people notice, have people become
Mhm.
aware and like feeling and experiencing it, but allowing it to
Yes.
complete, but being able to still pause within it. Like sometimes when I see people who are like really angry, and this is also the season of anger, but the
Mm.
flip side of anger is benevolence or kindness. So it's like when you can approach something where it's like, and here's the other thing too, like spring is not just about anger. Spring is not just about motivation. It's about motivation for a goal, motivation
Mm.
towards a change. Like there's something that spring wants to like bring out of it, right? Like you could even think about it like the trees and plants outside, you know.
Mhm.
The goal is for the flower to bloom, right? The
Yeah.
goal is for the tree to like have its leaves, but then have it, appreciate it, and then let it go. Let it turn back into the land. There's a transformative process that always happens, but there is a goal that you want to reach towards. Um, yeah. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking
The
about?
goal the goal
I got so into the momentum, I lost my train of thought.
I know, I was like I liked where you're going, and I was like, I think the goal is regulation at the end of it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Oh, okay, yeah,
the
yeah.
goal is being able to move within the cycle all the time. So it's not just
Right,
about
right,
like
right.
staying
Yin
in
to yang,
regulation
yang
or
to yin. Yeah, that's why
all
yin
the
yang
time. Yep,
theory has like the dot in each one, and they're always moving
exactly.
towards around each other.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no such thing as complete calm. There's no such thing as complete movement
mm-mm.
or complete like productivity. There has to
Yeah.
be a balance of like at least a little bit of
Yes.
rest or like a little bit of movement. You have
Movement.
to have
Yeah.
that little dot of that other
Exactly.
thing.
Yes.
And most of the time that's all it takes.
Actually, yes, that's all it takes. And I think that's what the pause effect, right? Like all you need is a little pause, all you need is a little awareness, and then that might actually help you move into the next part of the stress cycle. And the whole goal of the stress cycle, if anyone wants to Google it, the goal is always completion. The problem is with modern life, we don't allow anything to complete because we're so stressed or we're so
Mhm.
anxious. So we're like, I have too many things to do instead of letting one thing pass, and then you end up doing nothing and you end
Yeah,
up
you
feeling
trick
stuck.
your body into survival mode. And then that's when it goes
Yes.
into like that dysregulated state. So, Grace,
Yes.
let's go
Perfect
into the
segue.
states of dysregulation. Because
Yes.
I always
Mm-hmm.
understood it as fight or flight or rest digest.
Mm-hmm.
But Grace actually educated me that it's now 5 things. What are they?
Yes. Actually, there's six.
Oh,
So
6 things,
I'm
sorry.
No, it's okay because so I'm gonna just point out for our listeners that we've split this regulation into four parts, which is like your mind, body, spirit. Wait, no, three parts, sorry. We split it
Mhm.
into three parts, mind, body, spirit. So first we're gonna focus on the mind, which is what I usually work with as a therapist. So there's six states. We know fight or flight, but there's actually also freeze. Some of you are very familiar with that when something overwhelming comes about and you're just like, ah, and then there's no thought. I know I identify as that a lot. Andre
Me
can
too.
speak to that, where I would just like freeze and I would just have no thoughts, just like eyes wide open. And there's use for that too, right? You think about animals that play dead; they've survived this long through evolution because they played dead. They froze. So there is a function for that, right? There's another one called fawn. So another dysregulation type is called fawning, and we see that a lot with people pleasing. Um, and making sure that people like you so that people don't dislike you. And because if they dislike you, they will cut you out of the group or they will cut away your survival um, things like food, shelter, social energy, social community, right? So that's another survival tactic that is actually pretty dysregulated because it doesn't come from a place of genuine love and care for another person. It comes from a place of I need you to survive or else I will die, right? So the last two is flop and fib. So flop can feel a little bit like freeze or flight, but flop is that mental thing of giving up immediately. Oh, it's too hard. I flop. I can't run, so I'm not even gonna try. Like, oh, I'm not good at art, so I'm not even gonna pick up a paintbrush. Like, I know I'm gonna fail, so I'm just gonna flop and pretend like I'm
Mhm.
useless. Again, think about the animals that have used that tactic. They've survived for this long, so there is a function for that too. And then the last one is fib. Fib is a newer form of like defense mechanism when it comes to survival, but it's most prominent in women who have ADHD because women who have ADHD, I know Jen's like hee hee.
Like, oops, that's me.
It's actually really normal for a lot of women, but specifically with ADHD because ADHD brain is so fast and it's so scattered that they don't. And also, women are forced to be more perfect, more put together. So when someone questions them, their instinct is not to be like, let's be real, let's be honest, let's be like honest about the fact that I can't really do it all. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna lie and say like I did this, da, 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 and kind of deflect, right? So the attention's off your weaknesses, the attention is off your imperfection, and it's put back on the person who questioned you to be like, you're the one who's wrong for questioning me. But again, all of what I'm saying, it's all dysregulation because it's not doesn't come from a place of genuine self. Like I'm
Mm.
not doing this for myself. Yes, you are doing it for yourself to survive, but you're not actually doing it for like relationship. You're not doing it to thrive. You're not doing it for community. If that There's a small distinction there. It's not to say that it's all bad. Survival is important. Survival is good, but survival is not everything.
Yeah, our brains are really wired to um help our body survive, right? Because it's literally
Exactly.
its only job is to keep us alive. Our body is like that's the number one priority. Without our
Mhm.
body, nothing.
Basically.
So yeah, yeah, but that's the reason why things like like relationships can be so hard or why,
Mhm.
doing things that are very unfamiliar can be so hard because it just throws you into that survival mode. It's like figure it out. What are you going to do here? What's your plan?
Yeah.
If there's no
Yep.
plan, then like your body's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to have to like figure it out in the
Yeah, and
best
go
way I
back to
can."
pure instinct, right? Like there's no
Mhm.
thought, there's no reflection. It's just like, oh, it's too much, I'm gonna fight. Or it's too much, I'm gonna just flop, right? Um and the truth is that it's usually not too much. It just means that we've consumed too much or we've done too much. Like it's what Jen said is about the imbalance. It's not necessarily about that something is that overwhelming. If that
Right.
Yeah.
And that actually goes into how wood overacts on earth. So I really like the word you used there before, which was consume, right? When we've consumed too much, our brain and our gut are connected, right?
Mhm.
So our brains consume information, consume our environment, consume our surroundings, and interprets it
Yes.
the same way our gut digests food or consumes food and digests
Mm.
it and extracts it. We consume information and we digest it and we extract it the same way. So then a lot of people actually notice a lot of gut issues during this time too,
Mhm.
specifically in the way where it's like all of a sudden you get stomach cramps. All of a sudden you find yourself in there's no balance, there's no like perfect poops. You always have either constipation or diarrhea. There's no in between. And so when that
Mhm.
happens, it's like, okay, your body needs to find its new normal. How can we create normal? How can we have more earth energy? Because that's what it's taking away from. Earth energy is all about community. It's about like support.
Nourishment.
It's about stability. It's about nourishment, but nourishment not in a way where it's like you need it to survive. It's nourishment in the ways like, how can I feel abundant? Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want true nourishment, like real nourishment is actually water. Right, like, that's, like,
Mm.
the foundation, like, we need this for our bones, we need this for our stability in a way where it's like we can stand up. It's like that's the type of nourishment we talk about when we talk about water, but when we talk about earth, it's like the steadiness of it. It's like no matter how you go about it, it's always gonna be the same. It's always gonna be routine. We eat 3 times a day. We go to sleep at the same time every day. Like anytime you could bring more repetition to the point where it almost becomes like automatic, that's actually what creates more stability and that's what creates more safety in the body, which is why like when we view it in five element theory, like earth is seen as like the center.
Yeah, and I think that speaks too much about what a regulated body looks like, right? Like that
Mhm.
a regulated body has routines, has things that they can expect and be fulfilled. Their needs are met, but not just needs, but wants are also met. So that if there is a moment of imbalance or if there's something that, like you have to pull a late night because you have work, for example,
Mhm.
you're able to bounce back a lot faster and go back into a more regulated state because you already have the tools. Your body's used to being regulated, your body's used to being taken care of. So instead of staying in that state of like, I'm so used to dysregulation, I'm so used to being deprived, I'd rather stay in deprivation. When you have to go into deprivation for a moment, for a season, you're able to bounce back and be like, I actually prefer nourishment. I actually prefer being taking care of myself, taking care of others, being in that earth that is, like you said, like Jen said, like grounding.
Yeah, I feel like that's the difference between being grounded and being calm. Right? Like,
Mm,
grounded
mm-hmm,
is like, you can shake me however you want, I'm not gonna budge, right? It's like a tree with, like, really firm roots, right?
mm-hmm.
That's what grounding is like. It's like you are so rooted in your moral code, you're so rooted in your daily routines, you're so rooted in your daily rituals that, like, even if something tries to pull you away from it, you can still come
Yeah.
back to your center. You can
Yep.
still be grounded in what you know because that's the truth. That's the authenticity aspect of it. That's actually the spirit aspect of it too. And spirit, it's kind of like what you think of when you think of self care, but not in the way where it's like, oh, I want to be pampered. It's self care in the way where it's just like, what do I really need right now? Like, do I need like connection? Do I need communication? Do I need a meal? Do I need hydration? It's like really asking your body, like, what does it truly need?
But
And
on a
then
spirit
being able to be
level.
like, yeah, on that spirit level of just like, this is like to my authentic self. Like, what does my authentic self require in order to feel fulfilled? Like, there's a huge difference between that and being like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I think I need this," or "I
Yes.
think they need this," like, that's completely different.
I know. I wish I could snap so hard right now because
Yeah.
a lot of clients will tell me I think this, or when for example, to back up a bit, when I ask clients like, oh, what do you hope your purpose is, or what do you want your purpose to be? Then they say I think, and I'm like, that's already wrong because thinking is not the same as feeling, and it's not the same as experiencing. So
Yeah, it's
when
like
we
an
talk,
inner knowing.
it's a very nebulous,
It's like a
mysterious.
quiet whisper
It really
where it's
is a
just,
quiet
like, always telling you, like,
Yes.
"But what about this? But, like, don't you
Yes.
wanna, like, create? Don't you wanna, like,
Yes.
see what it looks like if you did this?" It's like that quiet whisper that you always hear in the back of your head that wants to make you do something that if you don't do it, you're gonna go crazy.
Exactly. And so this is where the spirit dysregulation, like I wanted to point out, like spirit dysregulation is just tuning out all of your inner voices and being like, society told me to do this, my partner told me to do this, someone else told me to do this. I believe that I need to do this because I am, for example, Asian, right? Or I am a woman, therefore I have to do this. So it's all prescribed. But then spirit regulation or regulation of the spirit and listening to yourself is something that me and Jen practice with each other all the time. We always ask each other, is this going to serve you? Is this going to serve me? Is this serving a bigger purpose? Like, for example, to use Jen's gua sha workshops as an example, we were talking about for a really long time, and then we were talking. But then Jen was like, "Okay, I finally have clarity. This is what I want to do." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm working with you on this podcast. I feel like I have capacity to give you like this podcast as like something that can support your workshops. How can I do that? Because I'm coming from a place where I feel like I know what my calling is. I know what I'm good at. Can I help Jen get that next level with her workshops from
Yeah,
this
that's like the
podcast, from
whole
my
theme of
space?"
like operating out of abundance, right? Like it's like when you know
Mhm.
what you have and you know what you can do for yourself, then you could turn to help another.
100%. And that and this goes back to that very, very nebulous fine line of finding out what your purpose is. And it's very, 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 very hard. If you think regulating the mind, regulating the body is hard enough, regulating your spirit is even harder. Because I also want to point out that your spirit is something that you can't tame, right? You can't really force your spirit to be like, oh, you have to do it this way because I want it this way. No, your spirit will just lead you in a way that is so wild and exciting and beautiful. And that's how it should be. It should be that the spirit's allowed to regulate you rather than you trying to regulate the spirit. But to have that dynamic, you need to actually learn how to listen and then do based on the spirit.
Yeah, and honestly, if there's
Tough
any
stuff.
time to do, it's this season of spring. It's
Now.
right now. 'Cause, like, when you think 'cause this is why it's so important to be reflective during the yin months of, like, fall and winter, like, that's when you can dream, that's when you can hope, and then after that, you're like, "Okay, well, this is my dream and my hope. Well, how am I gonna make this happen? How am I going to plan? How am I gonna create wisdom out of this moment?" And then you could come into spring with, like, that wise, planned, like, clarity of understanding of what your purpose is, and then you just go. What's really funny though? I've been kinda, like, smiling this whole time because, this is the year of the young fire horse.
It
The
is. It's
horse
come
is
with a
all about being a
vengeance
free
too.
spirit, untamed, like,
Mm.
have those horse blinders on and just go and, like, move at the pace of, like, the freedom of your spirit. It's untamable, it's wild, it's free. It's young fire, literally wildfire, like, it's untamable. But that's why it's so important to go for it from a regulated state, from a place of balance. So, like, when you know you're, like, staying up endless nights, like, my baby in the past 2 weeks has had, like, a flare up of eczema, and she's never had
Yes.
it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's awful, like, she wakes up in the middle of the night scratching, screaming, rolling around, like, clawing her face out, but, like, me as a mom, like, I'm not gonna let her do that. Obviously, like, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna tend to her, I'm going to put cream on her, right? Like, that's my role as a mother, that's what I understand my role to be, but I'm not gonna have like, there was a part of me that originally was like, "Oh, my husband, he got a great night of sleep one of those nights," and immediately I felt resentful. I was like, "I wish I had a full night of sleep," and I was so mean. I was
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
jealous.
So normal. So
Yeah, but
normal.
then he was like, "See, that's the difference between you and me. Like, if I get something really good, I wanna be happy for you, but then when you do it, you're not operating like, during that time, I just wasn't
Mm.
operating out of abundance. I was operating out of depletion. So that showed my worst part of myself. But after that conversation, I was like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, you should be celebrated for finally being able to have a good night's rest when you haven't been able to have that for a long time." You know, we're both in the same boat. It's not a matter of keeping score. It's a matter
Mm-hmm.
of like who's operating out of abundance, who's operating out of depletion. The one who's operating out of depletion, how can I help you? So he made dinner every night. He made lunches for me. Like these are ways where we balance each other out. But that's the same way that you can show up for yourself too in terms of regulation. Maybe it's through your partner, and that's amazing if you have that. But if you don't, it's okay. Like, if for me, since I was having such a terrible time and not being able to sleep, I was like, okay, so then I'm taking 10 minutes of my day to literally do absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And those 10 minutes were when I parked my car when I got home and I closed my eyes for 10 minutes before I walked inside. Like I do it's all about like that little dot of yin energy when the rest of the time is yang energy. Like it doesn't take much. It's just a little bit, but that little bit honestly can make you push through the rest of your day in a way where you can actually feel grateful and hopeful and inspired to continue moving on with your day, but from a place of
Yes.
gratitude and not from a place of resentment, you know?
Exactly. It's not a place of revenge, right? Like you could have
Yeah,
easily
yeah,
gotten
yeah.
back at Wiley. Like I know there are days like of course like Andre gets better rest or better work done than me. And I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah,
Because
I
I also want
know.
to be the best. You know, there's a
Yeah.
part of me that's really competitive or a part of me that's like I need to be the most independent. But also reminding them like, hey, those parts of me like, hey, you're safe. You can ask for help. You can ask for help
Yeah.
before it gets too bad. And that's regulation, right? It's not about
Yes,
shaming those
asking
parts of
for
you.
help for sure is regulation. I keep telling people, I'm like, "No, like, there's so much we can do on our own. Like, yes, we can try our best to manage our diet, we can try our best to manage our lifestyle, but if that's not enough, go seek help. Go to therapy, go to acupuncture, go to physical therapy, go to your
Mm-hmm.
doctors, like anything you think that could support, right? Depending on what's off. Is it your mind? Is it your body? Is it your spirit? Then you go to that
Yeah,
doctor, you know? Like, there's a reason why healthcare exists. It's to help
exactly.
support. Whether or not it really helps or supports, that's another thing. But
That's for
if you
like
can find a good
20 other episodes.
practitioner who really understands what they're doing and is very knowledgeable and works with you and syncs with you and is really curious about you, then really that's like the best support you can get. Um, yeah, there's just so many forms of support and there's so many communities and there's so many
Yeah.
like workshops, there's so many like nonprofits, there's so many ways you can get help nowadays in every single aspect of life that really it's not as lonely as it feels.
No, and that's why I want to really point out the power of friendship. A lot of and also networks, you know. So
Mhm.
something that I've noticed in general, especially in LA, this one is a very uniquely LA and I want to say also like younger generation problem where a lot of folks just don't know how to have good friends. They don't know how to
Mhm.
have friends that they can call, they can text and be like, "Hey, I really have this problem. Can you help?" And it's like as direct as that. But I mean, I will say that a lot of my texts are actually like that from friends, and a lot of my texts to friends are like that. There are no long conversations because I trust in the friendship, um, and it's so straightforward and direct, and they can say yes or no, and that's it, you know.
I
And
know, it's
I
literally like when I'm like, "Oh my god, Grace, I need a babysitter. Can you come watch my kid?" She's like, "Say less. Just tell me when."
I'm there, yeah, or like I'm like sorry, busy, and and then Jen can. I also trust that Jen can go to other folks, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Like if we're meeting for something and she's like, and Grace is like, Jen, I can't today. I don't have the bandwidth. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's move on, right? Like we can meet up another time. It's not the end of the world, right? Like there's
it's
ways that
not.
we could support each other. There's ways we can stand up and like show up for each other that can help on so many different levels.
I was gonna say it's important to not just have one friend.
Yeah.
This is the season to really start creating those networks so that you can have different tiers of friends so that you don't just have to have one best friend. You can have 10 closer friends or a girl hang or a boy gaming session once every month, like whatever it is. And then you can have friends that you maybe meet once every 3 months, once every year, who you have that connection, but you just don't have that capacity. And neither of you do, right? So just know this is the time to start expanding. Start expanding
Yeah,
your
because
network.
anytime you expand, you grow your capacity, like
Yes.
when you can't show up for yourself, somebody else can support you in a different way. But then, like that being said though, I mean, I think friendship is really important. And I think a lot of people rely on family for that because it's a given, right?
Yes.
Like it's already
Mm-hmm.
there. Like that's the intention of family. But that's why I feel like sometimes it could be really tricky because sometimes the family members are not your most supportive people or are not the people who are
Nope.
giving, they are
Mm-hmm.
just receiving. And so I could see where that could be very tricky. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Especially if you grew up in a family that told you family is everything. It's hard to spread out from that, but this is where I really want to encourage you. Like your world is so much richer and better and more fulfilling when you get to meet other people who do life differently, and that's what's been so like life-giving for me, that if I tell a friend something and I tell another friend the same thing, like an issue I'm going through, they both give me two different opinions that make me go like, "Oh, wow, I didn't think of it that way."
Yeah,
That
like
actually gives
shifting
me
that
space.
perspective, making
Yeah.
it like more expansive. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that really is important because that leads you into that growth mindset and like
Mhm.
opportunity for growth within your body, opportunity within your mind, opportunity within your spirit. Like there's so much more room to grow that capacity when you grow your network, when you grow your friendships. And you just
Isn't
like
that spring though?
expand it. Yeah, yeah, like it's like, "Oh, seeds are resowed. Let's go plant some seeds."
Uh,
Grow together.
I do have a quick question for Jen that will feel like a
Mhm.
bit of a left turn, but it's in our notes, and I think this is actually a really important question. Since spring is so fluctuating and like you said, it's like pendulum swing from one extreme to another, I think folks are probably thinking, should I take herbs or should I do acu?
That's actually a really good question because this is when we start talking about root treatment versus branch treatment. And I want you to kind of think of that tree dynamic right now, right? So, for example, if you have really strong roots, no matter how you shake a tree, it'll still stand,
Mhm.
right? So, root treatment is honestly really important this time of the year. However, if your roots are not deep, like you'll fall over very easily. So you can't grow roots if your whole tree is knocked down, right? So branch treatment is just as important. So this is actually a time of year when I actually do both a lot. I do a lot of branch treatment. It's like I'm coming in because I had this intense spasm or I have these crazy panic attacks or I suddenly got Bell's palsy, or my dad just had a heart attack or a stroke, or my mom just got vertigo out of nowhere. Like these are things that actually come up very strongly during this time of year because of the nature of wind. Like just think of it like of you as like what happens when that wind comes to this poor little plant, or the sturdy oak tree. Like what is it? What do you have? If you are in the case of depletion, you're going to be that little twig sticking out in the ground with no roots yet. If you
Mhm.
are a sturdy oak tree, that means you did all the conservation and the nourishment and the reflection and planted your roots and really understood things with clarity of what you want and what you need. So then, you know, things won't shake you up so easily. So herbs are really good at treating the root. Herbs are really good at
Mm.
helping to clean up the internal things, the internal organ systems on a level where it will support you in energy, blood, fluid, all of that circulation, but like from the source of it, from that deficiency or from that excess. It's very good at treating that quickly. Acupuncture is much slower. Yes, it can also treat the root, but it's actually much more effective at treating the branch. So it's kind of like a spring cleaning, like
Mhm.
trimming the tree. So that way, it doesn't knock over as easily,
Mhm.
right? That's like acupuncture. But herbs are like giving you more of that nutrient dense minerals so that your roots can grow.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah. And I think that, folks, y'all should go see Jen to know which one you need or both. And also it's okay to need both. It's okay to just need one. But also
Mhm.
just noticing that this is, sometimes we do need that external support to just feel that
Yeah,
balance
I
once
actually
more.
want to touch on one more thing though. Like
Mhm.
during this time, not only is it important to like get that extra help of like acupuncture and herbs, like that, yes, I do think that's important. But if we're talking about like what you can do at home by yourself first, right? Before you seek treatment, before you do that, like there are ways to know like what's good for you during this time of year. Let's kind of run through that real quick, right? So because there's such a strong like intensity, it's stored in like the fascia, the muscle, the tendon, the sinew, the tendon and sinews, or really the fascia. That's kind of like where wood element kind of like is associated with. And then earth element is associated with muscle. So like right now is the most important time of year to really stretch, manipulate that fascia, get some more hydration, make sure your tissues are really nourished, take some collagen, like bone broth soups are fantastic. And also things that help to like reduce inflammation. So like more plant-based type of stuff are really great this time of year as well. Things with antioxidants because you're trying to essentially do like a spring cleaning within your body. You're trying
Mhm.
to honestly detox. Yeah, this is when detox actually is a really good time to like approach it because your body just needs that like internal spring cleaning of getting rid of all like the excess but also supporting anything that's malnourished. And so that way you could have that like new revival of life, of chi, of blood, of all that circulation. So like that's something where you could really focus on too is like that essence of stretching, hydration, and sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jen, to end the episode, what
Hmm.
should we all hope for in the spring?
What should we hope for?
Mhm.
We should hope for motivation. Yeah. Have that goal that you want to strive for. We should really try and like see if like our intention for the season, the way you can kind of like max out on the energetic of the season is to think about what your goal is and just go for it. Try to have that like revival and rebirth energy to like do something to your body, right? Like this is when New Year's resolutions actually should kind of kick in. Like we have New Year's on the first day of spring in Chinese New Year,
Yes.
right? They
Mhm.
don't even call it Chinese New Year. They call it Spring Festival.
Mhm.
So it's like it's this revival. It's like how can I show up as my best? How can I
Mhm.
show up and be the most productive, the most driven, the most motivated, the most like positively like advancing? It's all about like that yang energy of like this is my goal. I like this is the sun and like I'm the plant right now. I want to keep reaching towards the sun. That's like the momentum of spring. Yeah, it's the time to do. It's time to take action. What do you think
100%
though?
agree. I agree. I think this is the time to stop thinking and just do. Like, I know I'm
Yeah, stop
already
thinking. That's a
natural.
good one too.
Stop thinking. Just do. I do have a part of me that's just very much like, let's just do it. Let's not think. So it can feel very forceful. It can feel like I'm pushing you into a place that you don't want to be. So you're always welcome to say no to me. But at the same time, this is the time to honor that part of you that also is drawn to me and my kind of work and my style of just like instincts. Like just go with your gut, go with your intuition. Like learn to listen to
Yeah,
that
stop
little voice.
resisting. Yeah, stop letting
Yeah.
your mind resist you. Yeah,
Yes,
just
and
go
it's
with
so
it.
easy. Just yeah, and sometimes, this is why I say the work happens outside the room. Like we can think all we want. We can talk about everything in this hour, but if you keep living your life the same way as you did from the 6 months you've seen me, nothing's
Mhm.
gonna change, you know? Change
Yeah,
only
yeah. This
happens
is
when
the
you
time of
actually do it.
transformation for sure. This is the
Yeah.
time to like take chance, do that risk, make a change, do that thing you always wanted to do, launch your
Yeah.
workshop.
Launch your workshops.
Yeah, I really took advantage of that. I was like, okay, I was gonna launch my workshops last month, and I was like, nah, I'm
No.
gonna go with the spring energy. I'm gonna do it with the spring energy. And honestly, I felt it. Like I felt so much of like a kick to like get things done
Yes.
when that spring energy arrived. So it's more so like attached to like lunar solar calendar at that point. So like beginning of spring actually started around like February 4th.
Yeah.
Um, in terms
Me
of
and
like
Jen
that
felt it.
energetic. And I really felt it. I was
Yeah.
like, I think on February like 5th or 6th, that's when I
Yes.
announced the workshop, right?
Yes, you did. You announced it pretty soon after. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I felt it. Like before that, I was dragging my feet. I was like, I really don't want to do this. I postponed it 2 weeks already.
Yes, you
And
did.
all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm ready. And
But
then I
this is
looked at
the
the calendar. I was like, oh, I thought I was already early because I thought it was supposed to happen on like Chinese New Year. But then I was like, oh, wait, no, it's not.
No, and I think this is where I want to encourage everyone as we end. Just encourage everyone that like even if you're scared, just do something. You know, it's so easy
Or
to
move
slip
through
into
it.
yeah, move through it. Do something
Yeah.
new. Something new. Even if that something new is like, let's say you've never worked out, and I know a lot of folks who come to therapy who don't work out. That's fine. I'm not judging that, you know? Same. I'm also horrible at working out. Uh,
Hmm.
so if you've never worked out before, start with a 5-minute YouTube thing. Start with a walk
Hmm.
around your block. Start with telling your friend like, "Hey, I've never worked out before." And then just let that fear sit in. Like maybe they'll judge you. Maybe they'll be like,
Or
"Oh my
maybe
god,
they'll
you
join
should."
you.
I know the worst part is when they're like, "Yeah, actually, you should join my run club." Like something like that, right? But that's the best thing. That's what you actually wanted, right? And then just start small and start realizing that your fear and your anxiety is just like something that you've been conditioned for such a long time.
Yeah.
You're so used to that part of you taking over, that fearful part of you taking over, that you forgot that there are other parts of you that are actually really courageous. And this is the season to just let those courageous voices take a little bit more of like a front stage center, whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it, and just let them shine for a bit. What's the worst that could happen? You make a mistake. You know what? This is the
And you
time to
grow from
try it.
it.
So you go from it
Yeah.
and then you try
I
something
learn from
new.
it.
It's one of the best seasons, so I'm excited for everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's a small little act that helps other listeners discover our show. And if you haven't already, click the follow button to make sure that you don't miss the next episode. Lastly, connect with us on Instagram at TCM Talk Therapy. We love hearing from you. Thanks, and tune in next time for more TCM Talk Therapy with Jen and Grace.